Usamos estampillas totalmente.
You are now tuned in to your number one radio station.
Violent people.
Radio.
Hello and welcome to Violent People Radio episode 29. I am Pat, and with me is co-founder of violentpeople.co, Chris.
How you doing?
With me also, co-founder of violentpeople.co, Dan.
Oh, going pretty well. That CO is locked in. We have no fear of losing it.
That's great to hear. I love it. And I'm also here with co-founder of violentpeople.co, Sam.
Howdy.
So, Chris, I heard you watched a lot of wrestling this week.
I watched 3 matches. Does that count as a lot of wrestling?
Well, we need now like a tier list of the 3 matches you watched.
Sure. Yeah, so they are all from
You remember the matches, right?
Yes. They are all from ICW No Holds Barred volume 66 with Horror Slam. The show we kind of talked about possibly watching last week. Except halfway through the show, my eyes got tired, so I decided to take a nap for a couple hours today. And instead of watching Otis Kogar versus Tommy Trainwreck, a 20-minute Hoodfoot match, and Atticus Kogar versus Malcolm Monroe III. So unfortunately, I cannot report on any of those surely quality matches to you.
Well, I'm sure Ty from the Discord will be disappointed.
But I can tell you, best match of the 3, easily. It's got to be J.J. Allen versus Briar Wellington.
Oh my God.
Richie Boy.
The Richie Boy, because J.J. Allen gets set on fire.
On purpose, or just...
Yeah. I mean, it's a J.J. Allen match, so he's going to do some really
that's
stupid
why
shit.
I had to ask.
Second tier is Dr. Redacted versus Jeff King, which is a fine match. Jeff King, I've always liked Jeff King a lot. Michigan hardcore legend. A good, solid technician, death match guy. But you're not getting like the full workhorse Jeff King experience with Dr. Redacted, which is fine. It's a pretty good Dr. Redacted match. No issues watching that at all. It's pretty fun. And bottom tier, Tommy Vendetta versus DBA. Not a good match.
Yeah, I gotta say, Tommy Vendetta is a guy who strikes me as sometimes almost kind of like how the Young Bucks do like ironic high spot wrestling. He does like ironic deathmatch wrestling.
Yeah, the entirety of that match just felt weird.
He was in a 4-way at the NGI 9, and he came out wearing a long sleeve white shirt with like "This is my fun deathmatch" shirt written on it in Sharpie. And I was just kind of like, all right, you can just, if you don't want to get stuck on the bar part, you can just wear a shirt.
Did it say "This is my fun deathmatch" shirt?
Yeah, he wrote. No, it was like written in Sharpie. Like, this
That
is my
might
fun
be due to some deathmatch Facebook drama.
All right. Okay.
Necro
We're not
Butcher,
talking about wrestling we watched anymore. Now we're talking about this.
Necro Butcher. I don't know the timeline on this, but Necro Butcher made a post complaining about people having fun while they're wrestling when they should be worried about doing their job, because wrestling is a job. And it became a whole thing on the Facebook with wrestlers being like, "I love my job. I love death matches." And I think, I don't want to speak for Necro, but I think he was saying that it's a job. You need to do what the booker says and not worry about having fun. But it got lost in Necro translation. And I didn't follow it as close as I did like the Drake drama. I wasn't as interested in this one. I just know I saw posts about it on various deathmatch wrestlers' Facebooks and in the deathmatch wrestling groups that are on Facebook.
Okay, because I saw the shirt without context, and I just thought, like, okay, this guy is just like.
If I knew he wore that shirt, I might have came with like more info for you. But I just know this was vaguely a thing, and it falls upon the same lines it always does. Once Necro says it, Mickey and Schlack say it's the gospel, and then all the GCW guys say he's out of touch and death matches are fun and yada yada yada.
Okay,
Cool.
well, so Chris, we've covered your 3 matches. Sam, you watch anything good?
I'd like to I want to hold Chris's feet to the fire here real fast. So the week before that, you watched ICW 67, a horrible show.
Yeah.
And in my opinion, on paper, a better looking show than 66. And you thought, well, this week I better go back to 66.
Yep.
Okay, I just wanted to check. All right.
I can't. I mean, I'm on what, like 77 GCW shows this year. I can't judge any.
No, yeah, your brain is.
I wanted to watch something, so I turned that on, and then my eyes got tired.
Hell yeah. Oh, man. I've watched 4 matches this week, so I'm one-upping Chris here. First match is from your favorite promotion, my favorite promotion, Court Bauer's third favorite promotion, Major League Wrestling. It is Sami Callihan versus Matt Riddle from July in a no ropes, quote unquote, death match. Folks, it is not good. Would not recommend. I know, it's shocking.
You're saying Sam, we shouldn't expect the Callahan Death Machine to hit up Bloodsport anytime soon.
Probably not. It is just like the worst plunder match you've ever seen. It's like a 20th as good as the Pentagon Junior match from TNA some odd years ago. I don't know if that is going to help everyone here, but it's pretty much that, but just significantly worse by every metric, including like the exposed boards shit.
Okay, that is helpful.
And then I watched 3 New Japan Pro Wrestling matches from January 1st, 1984. Because I've decided, you know what? As I'm working on the VP 2010s, going through all the data and the numbers, let me start a new project, which is working week by week through the wrestling that was in 1984. Not sure why I decided that year. I think because Steph did 1980 and then 1990. I was like, what's just like, what would be a fun year? And it's like, okay, the Hogan like championship, first major championship for WWF. It seems like a good time to see what this shit's all about. So there we go. Best match so far is Seiji Sakaguchi versus Abby.
So who was on top in New Japan in '84?
The main event of the January 1st show is Inoki versus Dusty Rhodes.
Okay, so it was still Inoki was still Akira. Was Akira Maeda there yet? I can never remember what you.
Yes, he is there. This is the year of the big gauntlet match.
Okay.
Did you watch this whole January 1st show or just random matches?
I'm working my way through it, Dan. I'm working my way through it.
I just saw a Buddy Rose versus Fujiwara match when I'm looking at the results.
Ooh.
I don't think you are looking at the right show. That was not on the WWF results.com that I saw earlier.
I mean, it's January 1st, 1984, and the main event's Inoki Dusty Rhodes. And that Abdullah Sakaguchi match is on here. Cage match has it. It might not have made tape. I don't know. That's just the first thing that popped out when I pulled up the results that I was like, I need to see that.
So other than New Japan and obviously WWF, what other promotions are you going to be keeping an eye on in your 84 watchathon?
Whatever Redacted has on their Google Drive.
Okay. So shout out to Dr. Redacted.
Yeah, he's a big fan of the show. I'm a big fan of him.
I want to.
Anything else you want to throw at us before we kick it over to Dan?
Well, I have a question for Sam. This feels like a Sam answer. Did
Sure.
Riddle, Callahan, did they ever have a singles match when they didn't suck?
They had to have.
I
I
would
don't
think
know
so, but
that
I
they
have no memory of it, so I didn't know if they ever crossed paths.
Like they were in the same circles in 2016.
I feel like they must have
Probably
been
it
beyond
might not have been
involved.
good.
Oh,
It probably wasn't good.
I don't know why I didn't assume this is where it took place. I answered my own question.
AEW?
AAW, yeah.
Yeah, of course.
Yep.
And
Of
that's
course.
2018 too. I don't know if that's exactly when I would have wanted them to face off, but oh well.
I mean,
But
yeah,
yeah,
that's probably
2016 when
bad.
Stan
I'm gonna
Callahan
say
was
it's
Wrestler
bad.
of the Year, that would have been something.
I'm gonna go ahead and say it's bad. Sight
Okay.
unseen.
I don't feel like calling you out on that. I feel comfortable being okay with that. Now, I'll let you know how I also watched that match, and I can tell you for a fact the Kenta versus Bobby Fish match right before it, worlds better. That puts it where it's at. Worlds better.
Dan, I am excited about hearing about an AAW match this week, though.
Yes, I need to first get into matches that I didn't watch this week. I watched before that, and I forgot to bring up. Before our break, these guys were talking about matches I never heard of and expecting me to know about them. In Jimmy Jacobs versus Matt Cage from AAW, and Sexy Star versus Cheerleader Melissa match from Lucha Underground. And so I did the work, and I went and watched these matches, and I can tell you who was right and who's wrong. And unfortunately, Pat, our host this week, you're very wrong. That match was not great.
Fuck off.
It's fine. It's fine for 15 minutes. It's fine for like 5 minutes. Well, because I don't care about the Lucha Underground storyline, in 2024. So all the interference spots kind of don't mean anything to me. And then the opening, it's like that's taped and it's still so bad. Now there are cool spots. Like there is like Mariposa, aka Cheerleader Melissa, like puts a chair in between Sexy Star's leg and then slams another chair into it to smash her crotch. Like that's good stuff. There's blood. I'm not saying this is a bad match. It's just not a great match or very good match. Even it's just fine.
I'm upping it's not just a 5-star match, it's a 6-star match.
Yeah, that's crazy
Holy
talk.
shit.
Now I'll say this.
I know.
Matt Cage versus Jimmy Jacobs, that shockingly rules.
It fucking whips.
It shouldn't. It should. Now I read what Sam wrote about it, a decade ago, and he likes it more than me because I don't enjoy Matt Cage's punches as much as he does. And this match is basically just Cage and Jacobs taking turns punching each other, and then anytime one of them like tries to be like, "Oh, I like this," and they take a step back, the other one goes, "My turn," and starts whipping on him. It ruled, and it's so weird, but everyone should go watch Matt Cage versus Jimmy Jacobs from September 12th, 2014, AAW, defining moment. This was the opener, too, by the way, if you were at the show live, which is crazy, but there's 10 more matches. There's no way they're as good as that.
Unless there was a Lewis Linden match on that show, in which case it might have been as good as that.
I'm looking. Oh, it's Lewis Linden, ACH, versus the Monster Mafia.
Oh, okay, never mind. I take it all back. It's likely garbage.
And then you got Kingston, but he's against Shane Hollister. Yeah.
Everyone
exactly
everyone listening to this definitely knows who Shane Hollister is in 2024.
It's like seeing the VP 2010s list just rolled out in front of me.
I don't think I put Jimmy Jacobs on my list. I don't remember, but
I
he
sure
should
as hell didn't.
After this match, he should have been. Like, I thought it might have been a Sam thing. But I did compare it to MLW because, and this is funny because I follow MLW because it's like, I don't know if this match means anything. I don't know if there's anything going on. I don't know if there's a storyline. But it seems like these two hate each other, but they never wrestle again.
Perfect.
From what I can pull up on cable.
That's pro wrestling, baby.
Yeah, and that actually brings me up. This week I watched Esfenge against Shun Skywalker. And that reminds me that I did also watch, and forgot to mention last week, King of the Indies show, which has a pretty kick-ass Calvin Tankman versus Timothy Thatcher match. And I have a question for the group, because I don't watch like literally any Dragon Gate. Is Shun Skywalker good?
Now?
In 2024, right now, I think he's maybe very good.
Wow.
Impossible to find out.
I like his character work of what I've seen, where he just goes into business for himself, or
that's
acts
what he
like
did the whole King of the Indies show. That's what he did.
Yeah, someone who has the gimmick of like, I'm not going to wrestle this match. I'm going to go like sit in the crowd and watch my tag partners get the shit beat out of them.
That is
like,
very much.
That is a very easy way to get me to like a wrestler.
He faced Bendito, and Bendito probably wanted to have a more high spot oriented match, and Skywalker was like, no way. And then he wrestled Titus Alexander, and it's one of the better Titus Alexander matches I've seen in quite a while. I'm very proud they didn't make the final Alexander versus Starboy Charlie, which is where I was sure it was going. But I mean that show is fine. It was a quick watch. I don't know how long the whole show was. I mean, I would say 2 hours, if that. It's on YouTube for free.
So you are the indie drama expert of the show.
Yeah.
When Vinny Massaro, Facebook. Okay, this is Twitter drama, so I'm opening it up in the group. But... When Vinny Massaro tweeted out complaining about people, kind of getting these huge opportunities from Noah and not treating them seriously, was he complaining about Starboy Charlie?
I mean, who's to say? Because is Starboy Charlie, is he on the Noah shows? Oh, I guess he is on some of them. I'm looking at it.
He was one of the, I think he got brought over for Noah or Marvelous or...
Well, all those guys,
might be confusing.
Vinny and Titus and Kevin Blackwood, I think, and Starboy, they're all over with Marvelous, but they also do stuff for Noah, I believe. But the Marvelous stuff is weird because it's like, they're Joshi shows, but then like you have to just sit through like Vinny versus Kevin Blackwood for some reason.
Yeah, I'm sure the salary men who came to buy their photos with Takumi Iroha or whoever just love watching Vinny Massaro.
Yeah, but yeah, I'm not deep enough in Noah or Marvelous or Twitter to tell you what's going on there. Though I haven't been on the Discord since I asked it. I wanted to see if anyone on the Discord had watched Brian Kendrick versus
I did not see a response before everything got drowned out with people complaining about Tony Khan booking. The Wednesday tradition. Hopefully
we can get in some Will Ospreay chat on there too.
Oh no, people, I won't name names, asking you. So do we think that Darby can get a good match out of Will Ospreay?
But yeah, I find Brian Kendrick being brought in as a GHC title challenger very funny in 2024. Which I know, he won the Wildcat heavy title like a week later because I saw this on, again, I think Twitter or Facebook. I saw him with a title belt and I was like, holy shit, did Noah strap him up? It was the Wildcat heavyweight title, so.
No, but Luke Hawx sure did.
But yeah, the only other wrestling that I feel like it's two more things. I want to talk about MLW, Eric Bischoff's one shot. Now, Sam, you're an MLW guy, so you'll get to this like 8 months.
I saw the card, and then I went, I don't need this actually.
Well, how do you like Eric? Do you like Eric Bischoff?
No,
because
unless he's
all
doing karate.
Over this.
Does he do karate?
He does not, but they got their money worth out of whatever they paid him. Like they just squeezed it for all it's worth. Like he's on probably 12 segments on the show. He fires Alex Kane.
All right.
Yeah, this show was I don't know. I found the Eric Bischoff stuff very, very funny. So like that's like it's funny that it's happening. Cruel sold Baba Thunder, and beats him. And then afterward, Cruel's like, "You have to join Contra or we'll fucking kill you." And Baba Thunder's like, "All right, hail Contra."
Guess I'm joining.
And I think that's very funny. Like, kind of makes Baba Thunder look a little like a wimp, but okay. Alec Kane versus Bobby Fish had a UWFI match. They've never watched any UWFI, so that's pretty exciting. And then the only good match was Mystico versus Trevor Lee, which is not as good as you want it to be. Paul Walter Hauser wrestled again. Matt Riddle wrestled Donovan Jijak. It was awful.
Has Paul Walter
I got
Hauser
excited.
had as many matches as Hot Sauce this year?
Oh, you know what? I bet it's close.
It's a great question.
That's a great question.
I got excited
feel
because I thought you were saying that Paul Walter Hauser wrestled Matt Riddle, and I was like, I need to fucking see that train wreck.
I was about to say that happened already, but I got confused. It was Tom Lawler.
Yeah, hard pass.
Okay, all right. But he's
I
wrestled
don't watch rival podcasters wrestle.
10 times this year.
Yeah, that's it. That's good stuff.
And you know what?
Like,
a
where
bunch
does
of these
he
are singles
rank?
matches.
Where does he rank in this matchup with him and Mike Bailey versus Matthew Palmer and Rich Swann? Like, is he the worst person in that match?
I dislike Matthew Palmer a lot. So that's where I'm at.
PWH, baby.
Yeah.
Oh, man, there's a lot to take in here.
And it's like I said, like Revolver, MLW, some company in Georgia. He wrestled
I do need to watch
Salanaro.
this Southern Honor match. That
Yeah.
does, him versus Sal Renaro does sound perfect.
That actually does sound good. Yeah, he's been in two. He was in a War Chamber match for Southern Honor.
It's on IWTV.
So actually, speaking of Revolver, I have a question for you guys. Should I watch a no ropes barbed wire death match between Alex Colon and Dark Pledge versus Brent Oakley and Casey Jacobs? And my follow-up question is, who are Dark Pledge, Brent Oakley, and Casey Jacobs?
I was about to say I don't understand the question.
The Wrestling Revolver season finale show from this past week had a main event, no ropes barbed wire death match. Alex Colon and Dark Pledge versus Alpha Sigma Sigma, Brent Oakley, and Casey Jacobs.
Do you know who Dick Myers is, Dan?
I don't know off the top of my head. I don't know Dick Myers.
I didn't know if you would. When I searched this man, Dark Pledge, at the Dick Myers comes up. And he's also teams with Ricky Shane Page on one of these Revolver shows. So I was like, well, there's a 50% chance that Dan will know if he's teaming with RSP.
That's fair, and I appreciate that, but I don't know him off the top of my head. I can't. I'm looking at him, and I do not know a Dick Myers.
Damn.
I'm looking at. Yeah. The one last wrestling match I wanted to mention is Roy Lucier. I don't know how you say his name. Uploaded Michinoku Pro Show from September 1993, and it has from August 24th, 1993. I was looking at the wrong show. It has Wellington Wilkins Jr. against Hoshikawa, and I was vaguely familiar with Wilkins from I seen him in what am I saying? Like old shoot style stuff. Like he was a jobber. And so like the name rung a bell, but I didn't realize how many Michinoku Pro matches he had. And he is fucking awesome. It's like a shoot style match on, opening match of this Michinoku Pro card, and he beats the shit out of this guy, out of Hoshikawa. He just lights him up with kicks, suplexing him all over the ring. And from what I could see, as I was Googling it to see, like, is this happen a lot? Like, he's all over these shows, and he does this all the time. And most of my Michinoku Pro watching is, like, 10-10, these days, and, like, watching it, Great Sasuke and Kai Hentai DX on comp tape. So I don't know that I've ever seen any of him in M-Pro, but I'm really going to try to check more of it out. Busy rules. Wellington Wilkins Jr.
All right, so that's your homework for the week, everybody. Become experts on Wellington Wilkins Jr. so that you can school Dan for his takes on the Discord. I watched some GCW stuff. Pretty much completely not worth discussing. They did the show at Center Stage in Atlanta, GCW Mastermind. The one match I would say to watch from that is John Wayne Murdoch versus Mr. Danger. Because Mr. Danger is like a Michinoku Pro guy. He's like, 98 pounds. He launches himself off the ropes every chance he gets up against John Wayne Murdoch, a guy who looks and wrestles like a beer keg. And it's just a totally fun style mismatch.
Is Mr.
I
Danger
also watched-
is he an AR Fox guy?
Yeah, he's an
Yeah.
AR Fox. This show had a lot of AR Fox guys.
Cool.
It also had Joey Janela versus Jimmy Yang. And as much as I wanted that match to be good, Jimmy Yang, it's been clear, it's clear he's not hitting the ring that often anymore. It wasn't that he was out of shape; he was just out of like pro wrestling shape. Like he was getting blown up. He was, losing his footing. And unfortunately, Joey Janela is not the guy you can get to carry that match to 17 stars.
The main event.
The main event was Mance Warner versus Tank. If you like CTE, big time CTE match.
I do like CTE.
They were doing the Shibata and Goto style shoot headbutts on each other.
Okay.
The problem with the match, it's like 22 minutes long.
Oh,
And, I love Tank. I love Mance Warner.
that should
They
be
do
like
not
a 13-minute match. That's a good 13-minute match.
They do not have 22 minutes worth of match between them. I also watched a movie called Out in the Ring, which is kind of like an entry-level survey of the history of the LGBTQ plus community in and around pro wrestling. It was made for people who don't follow wrestling with the fervor that all of us do. So a lot of it was kind of like, yes, I know who Pat Patterson is. Yes, I know who Canyon is. Yes, I remember Billy and Show. But the parts where the wrestlers actually tell their own stories were interesting. I liked Pero came off very well.
Yeah,
He told the. What's that?
I was gonna ask if like Pero was in that because
Pero's in it. Dark Sheik, Charlie Morgan, all of the like Montreal like Pat Patterson biographer people are in it. Sonny Kiss. There are a bunch of names, but Pero told the story of coming out to his manager saying like I'm gay, and his manager being like, yeah, wrestling, we've done the straight guy is, acts like he's gay angle before and it never goes anywhere. So, let's come up with something else. Like Pero's manager thought that Pero was trying to work him. That was the most like pro wrestling is the greatest industry on this planet.
It sounds good. It sounds good.
The movie was okay. I mean, if you want to show someone who's like never heard of Adrian Street, thing of like, check out all the history of, queer wrestlers, gender bending in wrestling, all kinds of stuff. Go for it. If you already know who Adrian Street is, you're probably not going to learn anything new from watching this. But I think there's something we can all learn from this week's Big Top.
I'm excited for this.
I don't have the soundboard, so someone else has to do it. There we go. So this week we will be deciding the most badass wrestler of 2024. We will be doing this using the most badass thing ever invented, numbers. I stole this game from the Flophouse podcast. Stuart Wellington used it on his co-host to decide the best action movie hero of all time. I've kind of modified the categories, but the core of the game is still the same. I curated a list of 10 wrestlers who I think all have credible cases to be the most badass wrestler of 2024. Some of them are actually good cases. Some of them I just want to hear the banter. They will be rated in 3 categories by each of my co-hosts. Category number 1, aura/chills. That's their everything outside the ring. How they carry themselves, choice of entrance music, social media presence, whatever. How much of a badass they come off outside the ring. Category number 2, violence. That's everything in the ring. That's how much punishment they look like they're dishing out and how much punishment they can take. Category number 3, lucky dip. And that is, I will roll a d10 and it will be a random question which may or may not have any connection to wrestling at all. Could work in their favor, could really work against them. Each of these will be rated on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being the lowest. Actually, 0. You can say 0 too. 0 being even lower than 1. And the grand total will be crowned, the highest grand total, I should say, will be crowned the most badass wrestler of 2024. And possibly could, go a ways towards making their case for the Violent People Hall of Fame.
Or the Violent People 100.
Or the Violent People 100.
So
All
we're
of
just
these
considering them in 2024, correct?
We're just considering them in 2024, unless you feel like, I'm not going to be Mr. Policeman and be like, actually, you're bringing up a match from 2023, Sam. No, but technically on paper, we're considering 2020.
Okay. I'm probably going to ask about 7 questions as we get through this.
That's fine.
I'll spread them out.
You only get 6.
Shit. Well, I don't know if we should do this.
You get 6 each, so there can be a total of 18 questions.
There we go.
But
we're gonna see.
You guys grasp the concept? Did I explain it well? Do you think the little piggies listening followed it?
I understand.
Our pay pigs once we start getting them to pay us.
I understand, so everyone else should understand.
That's what I like to hear. So I'm going to roll a d10, and it will tell me who our first contestant is. That is a 9, so we're starting off with Sadika, the queen of Extreme, La Diosa de Destrucción, star of Zona 23, star of occasional IWRG shows, star of the Lucha Roundups. And let's start, speaking of the Lucha Roundup, let's start with Chris. What do you give Sadika out of 1 to 10 on aura/chills?
10.
All right. How about you, Dan?
10 feels high. I'm gonna go with,
Because she's a woman.
we're doing whole numbers.
Whole numbers would be preferable.
That's
but
what
No
I think
decimals. No
Perfect.
decimal
I was
bullshit.
gonna
here.
go
if you
8.6,
do
this is good.
decimals and it turns out that the winning person is by like a decimal point, I will find it really funny. So you can do decimals if you really want.
All right, that is one of my numbers. My questions. I'm gonna give her an 8, and say, as a Facebook expert, Black Terry Jr. posts a lot of very interesting photo shoots of her. If you're ever on the Facebook,
Dan, I don't like how you said that. Just
I know what I
Yeah.
will be doing immediately after this show.
I'm just putting facts out there. I'm not saying how you should feel about it.
Children
Freak
listen to
sicken
this
me.
show.
Ducky, do not go to Black Terry Jr.'s Facebook. Do not.
Good lord.
Sam, aura/chills
8.6.
on Sadika. 8.6.
Put it on the board.
All right. So, yeah, okay. So my spreadsheet thing does support. I was worried that it would throw off my spreadsheet auto complete math. It did not. Perfect. Dan, you were the low voter on aura and chills. What about violence for Sadika?
I'm going to give her another 8. She's a very violent woman.
She is a violent person. Sam, do you agree with that?
I'm also going to go an 8. I'm also going to go an 8.
All right, and
Just an
Chris.
8 for Sadiqa?
I don't know who else is on the board here, Chris.
That's
Can't
what's
go
tough,
too high
yeah.
right now.
I don't care. It's Sadiqa. I'm going another 10.
Another 10.
Another
Oh my
10. All right. So now we're going to roll and see what her lucky dip question is. So we
Chris
got,
is gonna log off after this, after Sadiqa's done.
well, then that'll make it easier to get through the rest. So question number 8, on a scale of 1 to 10, and then Sam, you'll go first on this one. On a scale of 1 to 10, how much do you think Sadika knows about anime?
Oh,
9.
what?
Yep. I think she's a weeb.
Chris, you agree?
I'm going to say 7. I think there's a very good chance she knows about anime, but I don't think she's a complete weeb.
All right. We've got a 7 and a 9. Dan,
I'm
you
going.
gonna split the difference?
I'm going 3. She knows Dragon Ball Z and Naruto, and that's it.
Okay.
And what?
Naruto?
Dragon Ball Z and what?
I don't know either. I'm lower than a Sadiqa.
Nosferatu?
However, those weirdos run. What is that? How do you say it?
I really want to see Sadika do the Naruto run.
Naruto, basically the same
She would
thing.
be so off balance. But she is at a final score of 71.6 between all of these scores.
Currently in first place.
Currently in first place, but we'll see about that because the next one up is Elio del Fishman. Dan, Aura/Chills for the son of the Fishman.
Gosh, I'm gonna go. I gave an 8 to Sadiqa.
Yes.
I'm gonna have to go. This feels awful, but I feel like that's now my rubric. I'm gonna give him a 7.5.
7.5. Sam, how do you feel about that?
9.
Woo!
Do you see the chest on that man? I don't know.
Yeah,
Maybe
I
just-
called out John Wayne Murdoch for being shaped like a beer keg. Elio del Fishman is like literally shaped like a beer keg.
It's amazing. It's incredible. He is peak male performance.
Chris, do you agree?
I can't just be handing out 10s all willy-nilly. I'm going to give him a 9.5.
I have to confess
Alright,
something. I don't like
What's
his mask.
I don't like you.
Oh.
Isn't his mask mostly just the same as Fishman's mask?
I don't like Fishman's mask either.
Oh, wow.
Well,
Fortunately, we don't have any do you like their mask questions to really hobble him in this.
Well, you don't know yet, right? Isn't there a wild card?
Find out.
Yeah.
Violence, though. Chris, where are you at for violence on Elio del Fishman?
I have to give another 10 because he is Wrestler of the Year.
Oh, whoa!
Okay.
Spoiler alert.
Well, Dan, do you have any spoilers for us in that regard?
I'm gonna give him a 9.5. It's a very violent man.
Sam, do you think they're being fair?
I'm going to go 8.4.
8.4.
I feel that one in my bones.
All right. Now we got to roll for the lucky dip. Oh, this is a good one. On a scale of 1 to 10, and Sam, you're going first on this one. Scale of 1 to 10, how well would Elio del Fishman do in a backstage fight with CM Punk? Bear in mind, CM Punk, UFC superstar, trained with Duke Rufus. He's like at least a blue belt in jiu-jitsu. How well is Elio del Fishman? 10?
10. All day.
Yeah, I was gonna say
Light work.
10 is like one punch and Punk is knocked out.
I think you can just chest bump him.
Yeah, I think they get they chest bumps him and then Punk runs away. That's a 10. That's the highest 10 you can get.
What about you, Chris?
I'm going to go I think I'm just gonna go with a 9. I think it's a real easy route for Fishman, but Punk might get like a weak strike in. It's not pretty, but he
You
might
think
get
like Punk would go for the choke and then Fishman would just like throw him into a trash can?
Yep.
All right, that's fair. All right. Speaking of big guys who could throw human beings into trash cans, next up is Calvin Tankman, noted favorite of Violent People Radio, Calvin Tankman. Let's start with Sam. Aura and
3.
chills. Where are you putting Tankman? 3?
3. No aura. Well, he has aura.
Oh, what
I guess
about the
by
chills?
virtue of it, 3, but not much.
Chris, you agree with this?
I'll give him like a 5.
Huh?
I'm gonna
Dan,
split.
are you gonna speak up?
I'm gonna
for
split the
Tankman
difference.
family.
I'm gonna give him a 4.
Split the difference, baby.
I thought there was gonna be much more dissent about this. Tankman was someone I included basically just for the takes.
Well, I think he looks like he might have aura on a poster, and then he comes out, and you're like, eh.
I love it.
All right. Well, how do you feel about violence from Calvin Tankman, Dan?
6.6.
6.6.
I feel like in the past that number would have been higher, but he's been letting me
Dan,
down.
what are you doing here?
You
What are
think
you smoking?
What are you gonna give him?
2.
Oh my god! I thought
Give
you were
him
gonna
a
go
2.
higher, and I was gonna faint.
Give him a 2.
If you gave him a 7, I would have fell over
Jesus,
in my chair.
as a pillow fight. Give him a 2.
6.7.
Oh my!
All right, that's 2 from Sam. Chris, how you feeling?
I'll give him like a 5.5.
A
5.5.
gentleman's 5.5.
Well, who knows? He might do well on the lucky dip. Okay. This. I'm not sure how this is going to go. On a scale of 1 to 10, how well would Calvin Tankman do if he was cast as the villain of a Three Ninjas Karate Christmas? Chris?
Well, that's fun for the whole family, and I think Calvin Tankman might do well in that role. Like, he seems like a nice guy. I feel like big guy. He's got some charisma. But he hasn't had enough of a shot, so you don't know how he's going to be on like a big stage. So I'm gonna give him another 5.5.
All right, 5.5. Sam, how do you feel? Calvin Tankman, he plays the villain in a Three Ninjas Karate Christmas.
6.
What kind of job's he gonna? 6?
6.
All right, so we got one above average score out of you. Dan,
It's not
how about
completely worthless.
I just think he's really middle of the road of everything. I'm gonna give a 5 for this. I think he has a
All
good
right.
body type, so they can light up his eyes. Give him a kick in the armpits and the crotch. But he's gonna talk, and that's me disappointing.
I think he would work better as like the main villains, for lack of a better word, heavy.
Yeah.
Imagine though if like Eo Del Fishman had gotten that question.
10.
He would just kill those
Yeah.
kids.
I know, it's like
I'd just be 3
Yeah,
dead
that one is
like,
not. That's the dark and gritty reboot.
kids.
Yeah. Speaking of someone who would be amazing in a children's movie, we have Damus.
Oh,
Dan, aura/chills for our friend Damus.
10.
I feel like that's a sensible answer. Chris, how about you?
10.
All right, Sam, do you break from the crowd?
9.5.
9.5.
That's because
Where's he lose the 0.5?
They have heat.
We got heat. We got a little heat. Also,
We got
like,
heat.
I stood in front of him, and I'm like, you gotta be taller than me. You gotta be taller than me to give you the bump.
But does he make it up in violence? Sam, what do you give him on violence?
Oh, it's a
Yeah,
10.
Sam, what do you
He
give
was-
him on
he
violence?
was violent to
I
you.
give it a 10. 10 and problematically so.
Okay, so 10 with an asterisk. Okay, Chris, violence from Damus.
Yeah, we're giving that a 10.
Dan,
That's a 10.
that's a yeah. So the lucky dip question, I shall roll now, and okay. On a scale of 1 to 10, Dan, how big is Batista's dick?
Well, he is a little bit of a cuck and a lib, and that has to factor in. It has to. Having said that, I'm gonna say it's a solid 7.
Is the rating scale changed now?
I assumed it was inches.
Yeah, I was gonna say, are we doing inches
Yeah.
now?
Yeah.
I'm giving the man 7 inches.
What about you, Sam?
I'll give it 7.5.
7.5. Chris, your turn to speculate on the question that has plagued Sean Oliver his entire life.
I'm gonna go 6.
All right, I will be tweeting these to Batista and seeing how it'll
Dave?
weigh in.
I love your work.
That question, though, did put Damus down. He is currently a close second behind Eo Del Fishman. So that's the lucky dip can make or break you.
You know, I just think he's probably been on some gas for some of his movie roles, and that affects things.
That's fair. Plus, sometimes it's cold out, you know. At least it's not like Justice Payne, where you can just like fucking do the math on one of the many pictures of him with a boner in the ring. Speaking of people who have worked Justice Payne, though, next up, friend of the website, the Necro Butcher. Now, you are his close personal friend, Dan, so you get to go first. Aura and chills.
Here's the problem. This is based on 2024.
This is based on 2024.
The man has spent a lot of 2024 in a hospital bed.
Not giving aura?
I'm gonna give him a 7.8.
7.8. Sam, how you feeling about that one?
I'm gonna give it 6.5.
6.5. And Chris, Necro Butcher, 2024. Does he have the aura? Does he bring the chills?
7.
Things aren't looking good for poor Necro. What about violence, though? Chris, what are you thinking?
He still brings the violence. I'm gonna give an 8.5.
8.5. Dan, how about you?
I'm gonna copy that answer. Give him 8.5. He still brings the violence when he needs to.
Sam, do you agree? Do you think Necro's lost a step? Is he still
I-
a violent
he's-
person?
I think he's lost a step. I'm gonna go 7.
All right. Now we got the lucky dip question for Mr. Dylan Summers. And this is okay. So this question was submitted by Tim. Shout out to our sister podcast at Violent People, Q and TR. Tim contributed the question on a scale of 1 to 10. How much would you I wrote it down and then I scrolled it off my screen. How comfortable would you be having them over for dinner? So, Dan, you can go on that one. How comfortable would you be inviting Necro Butcher to your home with your family for dinner?
The family's got to be there.
Family's got to be there.
That's gonna be a 2.
How about you, Sam?
Can you repeat this one? Who are we doing?
On a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being the lowest, 10 being the highest, how comfortable would you be inviting Necro Butcher to your home to have dinner with you and your family?
Like, is this my immediate family? Is this like me and my wife, or is this like me and my
This
wife?
is like immediate family. You're not bringing
Right.
you're not bringing the cousins over.
Okay, 2.
Chris, are you going to welcome the Necro Butcher into your home?
I'm going to also say 2.
Oh man, he got fucked by that one.
I'd be more
Still
inclined to
doing
say
good.
Thanksgiving. If you said Thanksgiving, I'd be like, well, there's like 15
No,
people here.
this is an intimate dinner. This is
Same political
intimate
beliefs
Friendsgiving.
shared by many of the table members.
He is
I
still.
have crazy relatives that I could throw Necro and a cousin in the corner and leave them alone.
They'll be entertained for hours.
Yeah.
Until he like throws him into a guardrail. But even with that, Necro Butcher is still comfortably ahead of Calvin Tankman. Something for all of us to consider. Another person for us to consider, Mad Dog Connolly. Does he have the aura, Sam?
9.5.
9.5
the
for
aura.
Mad Dog Connolly. Dan, how you feel about that one?
8.5.
8.5.
It's 2024. I want him to have more hair
Like on his head or just everywhere?
everywhere, but on his head.
Have you heard him play acoustic guitar now?
Does he do that at shows, or is that just like him on social media playing guitar?
It's just on YouTube from like 4 years
Okay.
ago.
You should do it at shows.
Yeah, I'm gonna say an 8.5.
8.5 for aura and chills. Chris, what about violence?
That's a solid 9.5.
A solid 9.5. Sam?
9.5.
9.5. So that only leaves Dan.
I'm gonna stick with the 8.5.
Let's stick with the 8.5. Okay, and I just rolled for his lucky dip. This is a good one. Dan, you will be going first. On a scale of 1 to 10, how easily can you see Mad Dog Connolly becoming a Gabe-style crypto bro? And actually, you know what? I should make it. We're going to reverse the numbers on this one. He should get points for not being a crypto bro. So 10 is he would not be a crypto bro. He wouldn't even know what crypto is. 1 would be he would kneel at the altar of Gabe.
Okay. I'm gonna give it a 7. I don't think it's impossible.
Sam, we got reverse numbering on this one. Mad Dog Connolly and crypto. Do you see it happening?
I think it's a coin flip, so we're gonna give it a 5.
All right. A Bitcoin flip. Chris, you've always got thoughts on crypto. What about this?
I do. I recently made a fortune on Hawk Tuah coin.
You were the second to last person.
I'm giving him a 5.
Okay.
He doesn't seem like the most likely wrestler, but all wrestlers are at least somewhat likely.
I think that's a fair indictment of their character. Let's see who we got next. Okay, we've got another favorite of the podcast, star of MLW, star of Wrestling Open, possibly current IWTV champion. I don't actually know. We are talking about Cruel. Chris, does Cruel have the aura and the chills?
I'm giving him a 5 for aura/chills.
Even with the mask?
Even with the mask.
Oh.
Without the mask, it's like a 2.
Well, yeah. Dan, your thoughts on your favorite wrestler, Cruel?
I think we got to go at 8. I think that's what he brings is the aura and the chills.
This is going to be like the part where, Tim's going to get to this and then he's just going to light up the Discord like, what the fuck are you talking about?
We're gonna give Cruel, the man, the myth, legend, Mad Dog Crueler from MLW, a 6.
A 6. But Sam, what do you give him on violence? He's a pretty violent guy,
1.
isn't he? A 1. Our
A
first one.
1!
Yeah. All right,
I'm
Dan,
grading
you
on the
got something
curve.
for your boy.
See, I am down on Cruel this year, but I'm gonna give him a 5 in violence.
Wow. This is insane. Dan,
Oh, man,
you're cooking something here. Cooking the goddamn books.
I've seen him be violent. I can't come up with any examples this year, but I've seen him be violent.
I am currently modifying my list. I'm going to do a coin flip to determine who the 10th person is once I roll that number. Just because I want to hear the potential takes. Chris, Cruel, Violence,
3.
3. Well, maybe he'll make it up on the lucky dip. We never know. Okay, well, this is a
How
good
likely are you to have the worst match at Dean?
According to Phil Schneider.
Close question, because on a scale of 1 to 10, Dan, how worked up do you think Cruel would get in a conversation about Dave Meltzer's star ratings?
I believe he'd get too fucking worked up about it. Because this guy's breaking character all the time on Twitter. So I'm gonna say a 6.
Only a 6?
Yeah. I mean, ideally everyone be a 0, but what are you gonna do?
Yeah. Chris, what do you think about that? You're having a perfectly nice conversation with Cruel, and the subject of Dave Meltzer's star ratings. How apocalyptic is he going to get about it?
I'm gonna give him a 7. I think it would be mostly fine, but if you bring up Undertaker versus Shawn, I feel like he has really strong opinions on that.
So do you guys think he's going to ever do like a Taker versus Taker thing with the what's his name, the other guy, the other Kruger
Blue
guy?
Kane?
No, not Blue Kane. He was in XPW for a show. It's like Michael Kruger or something like that. And he just looks like a shorter, fatter Cruel.
No, I don't think it'll ever happen.
I have no idea who that is, but sure.
I think it would be neat. But Sam, 1 to 10, Cruel star ratings. How pissed off is he going to get? How many holes is he going to punch in the drywall?
Are they related to him?
They can be.
Okay. I mean, if they're related to him, or
we'll go with whatever's higher, because frankly, he needs the boost.
Yeah, it's.
So we'll go.
In this question, I'm imagining it is either Meltzer rating a match of his that he has strong opinions about, or Meltzer not rating his match and he has strong opinions on that. And that I'm going to give a 9.
Okay. So you went from a 1 to a 9. Cruel.
We got swings here.
He's still fucking ahead of Tankman. Fucked him.
I feel like bad that we included Tankman.
Michael Kruger was in the finals of the Carnage Cup this year.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking of.
Yeah.
I guess I'll have to find out who this guy is.
I mean, like I said, he's like Cruel if Cruel was like shorter and fatter. Okay, so you were spared having to give because I rolled number 10, and that was one where I was just going to do a coin flip in the moment to decide who it was going to be. It was going to be either Willow Nightingale, which, she would have made Tankman look like a fucking ratings prodigy. But instead it will be Alex Kane. So Chris, Alex Kane, Aura and Chills.
7.
7, you don't sound sure about that.
I haven't watched a lot of him this year.
Yeah, that's fair. Dan, I know you watched a lot of Alex Kane.
Now, Am I judging him against all the wrestlers or against all the wrestlers in MLW? Because then he's a 10, baby. But in this, I'm going to give him I'll give him
somewhere
a
between the two.
7.8.
7.8. Sam, you continuing this upward trend of Alex Kane bringing the chills?
No, we're gonna go back down to a 7. We're sticking there.
All right. What about violence? How's his violence?
Personally, I'm sticking with a 7.
All right, Chris, what do you think about Mr.
I'm
Alex Kane's violence?
Yeah, I'm gonna stick with the 7. I haven't seen enough of him this year, but he's a decently above average wrestler who
feel
I
like
like to watch.
If I had gone the coin flip, if it had gone the other way and this was Willow Nightingale, it would just been like the first wrestler to get like ones across the board from you guys.
I actually like
no,
Willow
I've
a
got 8
lot.
on the first 2.
I mean, I like Willow a lot too. I just, I'm like, I was trying to think of like who in AEW had like the best received street fight of the year, and I couldn't think of anyone who had gotten more plaudits than Willow Nightingale.
Now, Willow would be crushing Alex Kane. Well, not crushing, but edging out pretty clearly to me.
Willow also aura.
Let's add. Can we add Willow? Is it too late?
Tell you what, we're gonna scrap Alex Kane because no one likes him aside from Dan.
I was actually going to go lower because the last 2 matches I watched of him were the chain match versus Ryan Gosling, and then the UWFI match against Bobby Fish. So I'm not feeling super high on Alex Kane's violence.
So we are
for a
throwing
Bobby
Alex
Fish
Kane
match.
into the dumpster, and we are redoing this one as Willow Nightingale. Aura and chills, Chris.
Solid 8.
We got 8. Dan, aura and chills for Willow Nightingale.
I am going to give her a 7.
7. She's still gonna fucking smoke Tankman in this, man. Sam.
Oh yeah, we're going 8. We're going 8. I'm curious why you thought Tankman was gonna.
I thought there would be like at least one person who was gonna like stand up and be like, actually, I think Calvin Tankman's great.
But who do you think was gonna say? You know what, Willow? Boo. Willow stinks.
Willow's
I
one of
thought
the
just
good
the fact that she was a woman in AEW was going to get her fucking.
Well, not all Dan.
I've watched
We all have a little bit of Dan.
significantly more Willow Nightingale this year than Sam, by the way.
Of course.
Well, Sam, speaking of, for violence for Miss Nightingale.
We're gonna go 8. We're gonna keep the 8 train going.
All right, Chris.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go like 8.5. Probably like
Wow.
I mean, she's had a good year for fucking violent matches.
She's been violent.
like probably top 5 most violent in AEW.
And Dan.
You know what? Fuck you guys. 8.6.
8.6 for
I
Willow
like
Nightingale.
the Chris match, the Sky Blue match. She's had a couple violent
The
matches.
Mercedes match?
Yeah.
All right, and now we'll see if she gets fucked over by the lucky dip, because her question is, on a scale of 1 to 10, how good a job would she do as a guest co-host for Cole's Regress podcast? That is his podcast where he is reviewing the first 20 editions of Progress Wrestling. Dan, how well do you think Willow would do discussing early progress with Cole?
I have no idea on her relationship to Progress Wrestling, but I do think she would make a good host podcaster. She couldn't be worse than us. I'll give her another 8.6.
8.6. Sam, how you feeling?
I'm gonna give her a 9.
9.
I think she could really play the straight woman to Cole here, as far as not knowing what the fuck's going on, or she's a secret progress head, and even better. So, well, even better is a strong.
Yeah, even better strong.
Let's reel that one back in.
Yeah.
Either way, I think she would crush.
Chris,
I'm gonna
do you
keep
want to listen to Willow Nightingale talking progress?
Sure. She's a charismatic lady. I'm sure she'd be a real good podcast host. 8. Yeah, 8.
All right, she's doing pretty well. So we're down to 2 more names.
I'll be
And-
honest, I really thought we had no more names based on there being a coin flip in the middle here. So I'm excited for these.
No, I wrote down 2 names in the number 10 slot. So we do have 2 more people. The next one is Mr. Josh Barnett, King of Bloodsport. Sam, does Josh Barnett still have the aura?
I'm going to give Josh an 8 on Aura.
8. That's actually higher than I would give. What about you, Dan?
I think Josh's peak is peak aura. He might be a 9.5, a 9. But I think right now, old man Josh Barnett wrestling ancient MVP. I'll give him a 7.
I got to be honest with you. I highly disagree with that statement. I think peak fighting Josh Barnett may be.
No, not peak fighting, peak aura. I'm thinking like 4 years ago. I'm not thinking babyface assassin years. No.
You're thinking like when he was in TNA.
Yes.
Chris, where do you stand in this war between your co-hosts?
I'm gonna agree with Dan. He's a 7.
He has a 7. But how do you feel about his violence?
I know it's not like necessarily his fault for the MVP match. And like he's great in the Moxley match. But like this year he worked MVP and Johnny Bloodsport. So I've just gotta give him like.
What was that? You broke up on the.
Damn. We're doing so good too.
It was lasting so long.
You're doing so- Yeah, you got to say it one more time. You're cutting out.
7.
7. All right. Dan, your violence rating for Mr. Josh Barnett, the War Master.
8.1.
8.1. Sam, do you like this man's violence?
7.5. 7.5.
All right. Well, I rolled his lucky dip, and things are about to get much more violent. Sam, on a scale of 1 to 10, how well do you think Josh Barnett would do as an apprentice of John Kramer, aka Jigsaw?
Ooh. 9.5.
9.5. Yeah, I think
I feel they're politically aligned.
Yeah, I was trying to figure out how to say that.
So
I'm gonna jump
honestly,
in.
there's very few wrestlers I can think of that would
giving
fit
it
the
a
bill
10.
better.
I'm giving it a 10. I think Josh might really want that job.
I think he might be the first 11 scale personally.
Can we bump mine up? Can we bump mine to a 10?
We can bump yours to a 10.
Perfect.
Chris, how are you feeling?
10.
10. Yeah, no, that's a solid 30 points for him. He's launched ahead of Cruel, that's for sure. So that leaves one man, the man that this whole year has been about, Jon Moxley. Aura and chills. Chris, does Moxley have it?
7.
Ooh, whoa.
7. You're not a fan of Romper Stomper Moxley?
It's okay. But I mean, that's not his entire year.
That's true. How about you, Dan?
What is Mox doing at the beginning of the year? I don't remember. Blackpool.
It's still
shit.
like Blackpool Combat Club nonsense.
See,
throwing water bottles.
I'm gonna give it an 8.9. I think this is where he excels. Is the aura.
I think it's a valid question of, is murdering someone with a plastic bag after a match, does that qualify as violence? Does that qualify as aura? Does that count for both?
See, I was putting that, and then the promos they do. I was thinking that is all aura.
What about you, Sam?
8.
8. What about violence? Dan, Moxley's violence.
7.5.
7.5.
He never gets to the level I want him to.
All right, Sam, that grunt makes me think you got some thoughts on this.
I don't really have as many thoughts as that would have implied. I'm just sticking with 8.
0.5 difference, oh, man.
Yeah.
We lost you again.
One more time, Chris.
All I did was like kind of sigh and say, "Boy."
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
I love it.
We thought you had lost.
I'm gonna give him like a 6.5.
All right.
For kind of the same reasons Dan did. Went low.
All right.
I'm kind of really going low on my Moxley. I'm kind of getting sick of Moxley in the ring.
All right. Well, maybe you feel differently about this. The last remaining Lucky Dip question. On a scale of 1 to 10, how well would he have gotten over as a member of Raven's flock in WCW?
Okay, he would have really excelled in Raven's flock. That's a 9.5.
9.5. Do you think he would have been like a Saturn level? He wouldn't have been, like Sick Boy or Reese.
See, that's why I'm going with a 10 because I think I have to judge him based on the rest of the group. Where he would be over more than Canyon, he'd be over more than Saturn, he'd be over more than Kid.
Like
those are the
10,
three big guys.
Within Raven's flock, like 10 is Raven.
Yeah, I think he'd be up there with. I think people would want to see Raven versus Moxley if Moxley was on the flock.
All right, so you're going 10?
Yeah.
All right, Sam.
I'm gonna go 7.
Last number of the whole thing. You're gonna go with 7.
7.
Why only a 7?
I feel almost so what Dan was saying, like he'd be over as anyone in that group to the point where he would almost outgrow it. / like it's Raven's flock. I don't know if a 2024 John Moxley knows how to play not the guy. And everything eventually turns into him being the guy. So either he could exist in that group, but I don't think it would ever be like a fixture.
This is gonna sound crazy. I think 1997 Raven could carry Moxley to a fucking amazing match.
I think there would be some sick stop sign shots in that match.
That's what I'm saying, yeah.
But this brings us to the conclusion of the big top. Are you guys ready to hear who the most badass wrestler 2024 is?
Are you gonna read them off like reverse order? How are we gonna do this?
I'm gonna do the top 3.
Top 3, okay.
I can do all 10 if you want.
I just wanted to know what you were doing.
No, I'm just gonna. I've got the scores in front of me. I'm double checking them now. So coming in at number 3 with a score of 74.6, that's the War Master, Josh Barnett. He's not going to let MVP keep him down. And he's an example of the lucky dip really helping him on that one. Number 2 with a even score of 80 is Damus. His feud with Sam will continue into 2025. And number 1, the official Violent People most badass wrestler of 2024, with a score of 82.9, is Elio Del Fishman. So I don't know if we can get a round of applause, piped into the audio, but he is officially the most badass wrestler of 2024. If anyone disagrees, they are going to be thrown out of the Violent People Discord.
I mean, it's science, it's math,
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
he has been judged by a jury of his peers, and they have found him better than Cruel.
I don't hate that top 3 at all.
Yeah, I mean, of the 10, a bunch of these names I picked just because I was like, I want to hear what people have to say about it. I mean, I'm sure there were 10 more people I could have put on there. I didn't include anyone from Japan. I'm sure Fuminori Abe would have done amazing. But yeah, so because I forgot to do it earlier in the show, we should plug some stuff from the Violent People website. So I've heard a rumor that there might be a Lucha Roundup coming next week.
People are saying it.
The streets are abuzz with talk of a potential Lucha Roundup. Chris, do you want to comment on this?
There will be a Lucha Roundup next week. A firm guest.
How close are you to finishing your watch of August?
About halfway.
Okay.
Next week.
We lost almost all of that.
You cut out, but I'm pretty sure he's saying it will for sure guaranteed be out next week, and it's the best thing you will ever read.
All right. Well, he's got stiff competition because hopefully Corwo will be hitting us up at the end of the week with all the Continental Classic matches we should have been watching, all the CMLL, all the stuff from around the world. Corwo does great recommended match roundups. You can check those out on violentpeople.co. Another thing you can check out there, previous guest co-host of Violent People Radio, Cole, is taking to the Violent People Podcast Labs, and he is doing Regress, a podcast covering the first 20, I think, shows from Progress Wrestling. He's been showing some really cool stuff on the Discord of Jimmy Havoc that is still up on YouTube for some reason, Jimmy Havoc's Progress audition videos. So I expect this deep dive to go to some really weird places, starting with the next episode.
I literally listened to the first episode today, and it was great.
It's fantastic. He's covering he's not just running through the show. He's also kind of covering the world and the context surrounding each of these shows.
My biggest complaint is I want more Cole. It was only 20 minutes long, a breeze, but I just want more.
Well, and if you want more, if you listen to the first one and you want more Cole, let him know on the Violent People Discord. There's a link to it somewhere on the website. Someone just let
you want to write for the website, feel free to message us on Blue Sky, send us an email, message one of the founders on Discord, or if you're like Cole and you have an idea for a podcast that you're not sure if you have any ability to actually commit to, also interested in hearing about that, we can set you up on the Violent People Labs feed. That's kind of the place to put shows that either going to be short runs or folks are like, I don't know if this is an actual thing yet. So happy to kind of explore both written and the podcast stuff.
And if you say you're going to write something
content,
and you say it's going to come out on a certain day and you don't make that deadline, that never happens on our site. I'm going to plug something.
All that we ask is, out of courtesy, please do not say that you'll write something and then, when gently poked about the thing, block the people from the website.
I was calling out
clear,
myself.
I didn't hear that it was gently. I didn't hear it was gently.
Super gently. I think I said, "Hey, what's going on?" And then I followed it up with a week later with a question mark, and the question mark, he blocked me.
Wow.
What? I was calling myself out. I didn't mean to call out. I was gonna have friends of the site, enemies of the site, because Chris has had issues with them too. I may write something for the site, who knows? But I wanted to plug something not on our site.
Indeed.
Wrestling Playlists .substack.com is doing Season of Giving, where on Losses Wrestling Playlist, people make their own old school comp tape. A lot of people that have written for the site, like Corwo and Joseph and people like that, have already had theirs come out, and they've all been great. And I believe mine comes out on the 18th, next Wednesday. So check that out.
Congrats on being one of the elite, Dan.
Well, Sam,
you made it.
He actually asked if he should ask you, and I said no way.
How much is Lost paying for this?
Double what I get paid for VPR.
Nice.
Yeah.
So my hope is negative $200. Does that sound about right?
That's some pretty harsh pay to play.
I can, since I'm talking about what my DMs say, my DM to Lost when he asked me, when he explained what he's doing, they said, "Hey, was this meant for me?"
You should have, and then he follows it up with a question mark, and you block him.
I would have loved it. He was like, "Oh no, thanks for catching that."
Oh man,
Good
love
stuff.
that.
So you can also, until I think December 23rd, you can vote in the poll that I'm running. What is the greatest weapon in wrestling history? The table, the ladder, or the humble chair?
I need to do that.
Gotten some strange because I made the like the why question mandatory. I've gotten some really strange stuff from that. I'm looking forward to more. Anything else you guys want to hit before we hit up the wacky line?
Well, real quick, I forgot about your poll, so I thought you were about to say they could still vote in the VP 2010s. I was like, they absolutely
No. The VP 2010s is closed. Sam has the calculators running. He's putting his whole family to the grindstone, making them figure out what the various typoed names are trying to communicate.
Now, is
I
this true?
never turned off the form, so I should do that at some point.
That Sam says there will be no cakes baked in his house until all the results are tabulated.
That's actually so untrue because my birthday's coming up and there will absolutely be a cake baked in this house. Why does everyone have a big deal about cakes? That's all I'm saying.
Cakes for me and not for thee.
Well, I'm putting Vampiro into the spreadsheet right now. So I'm working hard. I've made a lot of progress during this podcast. So let me tell you, we're cooking in here. We're cooking.
All right. That's what I love to hear. What I also love to hear is the sound that signals it's time for the wacky line. And we got a lot of fucking questions this week. The Discord, especially Eamon, went crazy with questions.
Which is funny because we forgot to ask for him until 4 hours ago.
That's us every week. So some of these we might have to kick to next week unless we want to do like a 15-hour long episode. But let's start with one from Patrick. You have to book a Muppet in a wrestling match. Which Muppet? Who's the opponent? And what's the match stipulation? I know my answer.
Let's hear it.
No holds barred. Damus versus Miss Piggy.
That's interesting because my first thought was Damus versus Gonzo. That guy he'll do some sick shit.
Animal, Abdul the Butcher, dog collar match.
Good.
You're close. It's animal versus animal.
Okay.
Dog collar match.
You could bring in Sam the Eagle and Hawk and make it a tag team match.
Now we're cooking.
I love it.
But Mondo wants to follow up on this. Continuing with the Muppets question, do you think that Statler and Waldorf, the old men, would make good or bad commentators?
I think they'd make good commentators for everything except professional wrestling, because the secret about pro wrestling is it's actually awful, and I don't need anyone pointing that out.
Yeah, they're just they're getting themselves over too much.
Yeah.
See, I think they could do something like back in the 90s, ICP did a video called Stranglemania, where they were in character as two Statler and Waldorf style wrestling announcers, and they just watched old Japanese death matches and made fun of them. I think something like that they could work, but the real problem with Statler and Waldorf is there's no play-by-play man. You have two color commentators.
Yeah, you do need someone else in that booth.
So featuring Nate wants us to put ourselves in the ring for a moment. What would happen if someone elbowed you when you were near the ropes? Would you fall out of the ring?
I don't understand the premise of the question.
If you are standing near the ropes of a wrestling ring and someone was to elbow you, would you fall out?
I think I would stay in, but I would probably cry.
I
I
think
fall
that's.
out.
I think I would get caught in the ropes like Test at that one WrestleMania when it was him versus Eddie Guerrero, and they had to basically stop the match, and Eddie had to help him out of the ropes because his leg got stuck. That would probably be me.
Part of the Discord because someone on NXT did a Hangman spot, and I don't think anyone posted the GIF.
They're improving.
Yeah, we're getting better.
We're training them.
We didn't create a separate part of the Discord, even though we made a survey. So we'll see what happens.
Logan Loves Shiny Hunting has a question for us. Which wrestler in 90s WWF or WCW would you want to see wrestle a match in UWFI? And I assume he means people who didn't already. But 90s WWF or WCW, who are you plucking out of those promotions and plopping into UWFI?
La Parka.
I don't know. He didn't do too well against Tank Abbott.
Gangrel.
Chris, you got any UWFI thoughts on 90s pro wrestlers?
Big old
Take
no.
that as
Bart
yeah,
Gunn.
I'm going to take that as a. Who was that?
Bart
Bart
Gunn.
Gunn.
All right. Well, it's close to. I was going to say Farouk. I have no idea if he'd be any good, but I feel like he's the kind of huge, like, ex-football player guy who they would want to give every chance to.
Yep.
Speaking of chances, possibly last chances, Hippo Boy 28 asks, if Damus had a match where he could legally kill somebody, who should it be again? So anyone you guys would like to see Damus murder in a wrestling ring?
That's a pretty dark question. I mean, I guess the easy answer is like a Vince McMahon.
The
Sure,
thing is, though,
yeah.
Vince McMahon versus Damus would be a fucking sick match.
That would be awesome.
Yeah.
That would be
He
an
died
amazing.
at the end?
Like Katie Parker's answering Eddie Kingston or Schlack, but like that ends up with Eddie Kingston or Damus dead at the end, and I don't love that.
No.
I mean, Schlack, I don't want him to die. I'd love if he stopped wrestling, but
Yeah, I'm gonna say every white male wrestler.
True. So
Shrimp
fucking true.
Rizkit. It's so fucking true. Shrimp Rizkit 420, former guest host of BPR, asks, if AEW booked the other viral Italian right now, Luigi Mangione, who should be his first opponent? And sadly, I think that if AEW was to book the CEO murder suspect, Luigi Mangione, the first thing that they would do is put him in a heat-draining feud with MJF.
two thoughts. Hook, because that seems like a very handsome match. Or they could bring in Luigi Primo, the pizza dude.
Yeah. Sam, would you like to see any particular AEW feuds from Luigi Mangione?
No.
Okay.
I have nothing.
All right. Well, maybe
The
you.
people
This one was
Sam
Amy
is
directed
super
this
pro
one at
CEO.
you, Sam.
Mm-hmm.
So Eamon says at Sam, what kind of Nen user would each of the hosts be? I don't know what that means.
This is from the anime Hunter X Hunter, or Hunter Cross Hunter, that I've been watching. So he has brought anime discussion that Chris said we could not talk about. So unfortunately, I do have to decline answering this, and I will DM Eamon. to let him know the truth.
Thank you.
Well, that's a perfect lead into our next question from Cole. Favorite conspiracy theory?
You can guess why, but I find conspiracy theories less fun over the last decade than they were before that.
Yeah. Oh, I will say one thing. I still have the fascination from when I was a kid about like the Men in Black, like not like the Will Smith movie Men in Black, but like the concept as it existed before that of, like people see a UFO and then the mysterious, possibly human, possibly not Men in Black come and visit them and threaten them into being like I loved all that weird UFO shit when I was a kid. And honestly, even though I don't think about it that much anymore, I still love it.
Moon landing was fake. It's a good one.
And with
Okay.
Kubrick.
He was also fake.
No, Eyes Wide Shut is real. It's a great movie. It's a Christmas classic.
I mean, if Die Hard can be a Christmas movie, Eyes Wide Shut is like 15 times the Christmas.
Every
Die Hard.
Christmas, my family gets together. We invite over Necro Butcher, and we all watch Eyes Wide Shut together.
They should imagine like Necro Butcher in like the Sidney Pollack role, where he's like the party host who has the ODing hooker in his bathroom.
Now that's a movie.
Haven follows up. Favorite wrestling related conspiracy theory?
I have none.
That the original Ultimate Warrior died. They replaced him.
Well, I mean, he did die.
Yeah, but the original Ultimate Warrior died in like the 80s. And they
I always
replaced him with a new one.
I always like the thing where Jericho talks about like his wife or someone like buying like a Chris Jericho WCW toy and it rigging up as a Hulk Hogan toy as some sort of like, like conspiracy from Hogan to like steal all the action figure money.
Yeah, that's good shit.
Is the continued existence of Seth Rollins, is that a conspiracy theory?
Well, we don't know how he does it.
Yeah, there's got to be some puppet master pulling the strings there.
All right, and I think this is going to be the last one for tonight. We're going to save the rest for next week, or maybe we'll answer them in a special VP Labs thing, which we're definitely not going to do. But I think we should go out on a high note. If you could add Big Papa Pump Scott Steiner to any TV show, movie, or video game, what would you add him to?
Oz.
That's good.
That is a good one.
Like
I was going
Oz
to say
has so many great turns from like character actors and musicians, but it needs like wrestling magic. Needs
needs
Big Papa
J.K.
Pump.
Simmons getting into a shouting match with Scott Steiner.
Exactly.
I was going to say Succession. I have no idea what character he would play, but he would bring
vaguely looks like
Scott
Logan
Steiner
Roy.
energy. What was that?
He vaguely looks like Logan Roy.
That's true. Logan Roy's weird steroid-addicted son.
My first thought was I want him in a reality TV show, and I'm a Love Is Blind guy. Sadly, I was like, oh, he'd be good at the reveal. But then I thought I never really watched it, but he'd probably be really good in The Biggest Loser. I love to hear
Oh, man.
him just yelling at people trying to lose weight. It seems like
He would get arrested for like trafficking shit to the contestants just by like existing near them.
Yeah, that would not be good. I mean, it would be good.
I would put him in an episode of New Girl, or I would just get a kick out of him as one of the multiple wrestling cameos for 3 minutes in an episode of Billions.
You couldn't put
I was
him
also
in.
thinking he could make a good alien on like an episode of like Star Trek Deep Space Nine.
But they don't have to add anything. He's already ready.
Yeah, it's just like, okay, he's from the planet Jack.
I was gonna say you couldn't put him in an episode of Charmed because he's already done it.
Oh, yeah. He could have played superstar Billy Graham on Young Rock.
I find that show to be a conspiracy theory. Does that really exist? Does anyone ever watch that in real life?
What?
I don't think anyone ever watched.
Young Rock.
Oh, that show was fake. That was a psyop.
I'm always seeing like, oh, they played such and such on Young Rock, and I'm like, no, they didn't.
Who was it? Who was it? Play, like they got someone crazy to play like Steve Austin.
Luke Hawks? Or is
Yeah.
it okay.
Yeah, it was Luke Hawks, I'm pretty sure. And that's
Nailed it.
the degree of separation between Luke Hawks and The Rock being a network sitcom show is bonkers to me. But sadly, it's time to close the wacky line. It's time to leave you all for this week. Should be some cool stuff happening on the site in the coming week. Remember, violentpeople.co. Check out the Violent People Discord. Buy a fucking mug.
We're
Christmas
selling,
is coming
folks.
up. We're selling mugs. There are a lot. Christmas is coming up. Hanukkah's coming up. There are a lot of people out there who need gifts, and everyone out there should be drinking fluids of some kind. They need something to drink it out of, or they need somewhere to keep their pens. A Violent People mug would be perfect. All the money raised by that would go towards hosting the site, would go towards hopefully maybe paying our writers. Maybe. But we can't do it if people don't buy the mugs. So tell everyone you know. Mugs. And with that, congratulations to El Hijo del Fishman, the most badass wrestler of 2024. I've got the 3 most badass co-hosts of 2024. Dan,
Oh.
Sam, and Chris. I'm Pat. This has been Violent People Radio. Catch you next time.